Hey everyone, before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more gripping, intense stories. You won't want to miss what happens next. The clock on the nightstand glowed 2:37 a.m., casting an eerie green light across our bedroom in Vienna. Outside, the city was wrapped in fog, the Donau reflecting muted neon from the distant bridges. I had been awake for an hour, listening to the rain patter against the windows, thinking about the unease that had been growing in our apartment for months. She stirred beside me, brushing my shoulder lightly as I muttered a question I'd been holding in all day. "Are you sure everything's okay?" Her laughter cut through the quiet, sharp and brittle. "You worry too much," she said, tossing the blanket over her shoulder and closing her eyes. "Go back to sleep, aw darling." I watched her chest rise and fall, pretending to sleep, but the doubt clung to me like the damp fog outside. Our life had been a comfortable illusion. 2 successful careers, a beautiful apartment in the 3rd district, friends who envied us. Yet every time I asked about certain expenses or noticed the extra hours she kept disappearing, she laughed it off. Her name was Claudia, a marketing executive, sharp, magnetic, with a smile that could disarm anyone. I had loved her fiercely from the moment we met at a gallery opening in the museum's quartier. But I had also learned to read her silences, the subtle half-truths that always seemed to surround her. By morning, 8 a.m. sunlight slanted through the blinds. I left for work with that tight, gnawing sensation in my stomach that something was off. Claudia was gone, leaving only a note that read, "Coffee in the kitchen. Don't worry." The apartment smelled faintly of jasmine, too clean, too staged. I poured my own coffee and let the silence press against me. It was the kind of stillness that makes you hear your own heartbeat loud and clumsy. Later that day, I noticed the small inconsistencies, the missing shoes by the door, the dress I didn't recognize draped over the armchair, the faint scent of another perfume lingering in the bedroom. My concern had always been met with her humor, her charm, her ability to make me doubt my own instincts. But now, it gnawed at me, persistent and insistent. By evening, I decided to wait. I didn't confront her outright. I never did. Confrontations gave her the advantage, allowed her to twist reality with a shrug or a smile. And I waited for a moment that would reveal itself. And it came, sooner than I expected. Claudia returned just as dusk fell over the city. The rain had stopped, leaving slick streets glinting under amber street lights. She walked in with a bag that clinked subtly, too heavy to be just a laptop. She smiled at me, the smile I once worshipped, but there was a flicker in her eyes I hadn't seen before. "I had to go through some things," she said casually, setting the bag down in the bedroom. I followed her, curious. That's when I saw it, the closet door slightly ajar, a subtle indication that it wasn't just disorganization. My pulse quickened as I stepped closer. "Claudia," I began carefully, "what's in there?" She laughed again, a note of nervousness beneath it. "It's just clothes, love." "You're imagining things." Her laughter didn't reach her eyes. The tiny tremor in her fingers betrayed something deeper. I didn't need more. I left the room, pretending to busy myself with my laptop. But my mind raced. By dinner, I had already made a plan. Slow, deliberate, and irreversible. Over the next week, I observed every detail. Receipts she left on the kitchen counter, half-erased entries in her planner, the phone that never left her side. Patterns emerged, subtle and damning. Claudia had been leading a secret life for months. Secret meetings, lavish purchases, unexplained absences. I cataloged everything quietly, patiently. Revenge, I realized, was not a firework. It was a slow burn, one that needed precision. I enlisted the help of an old friend from university, Lucas, now a cybersecurity consultant. Without her knowledge, we accessed her professional email, cross-referenced locations, and discovered a series of clandestine investments she had made under an alias, investments that were illegal under Austrian law. We collected evidence meticulously, ensuring nothing could be traced back to me. The psychological tension was intoxicating. I maintained my usual demeanor, chatting with her in the mornings over coffee, laughing at the same jokes, while simultaneously dismantling her hidden world behind the scenes. Every smile she offered, every teasing remark, became fuel for the storm I was quietly assembling. One evening, a week after the 2:37 a.m. laughter, I invited her to a dinner party we were hosting at our apartment, a small gathering of our closest friends and a few colleagues from her marketing firm. The apartment was arranged with meticulous care, every detail designed to appear normal, innocuous. Dinner was lively. Claudia was animated, charming. Her laughter echoed in the high ceilings, unaware that this would be the night her illusions began to collapse. I excused myself briefly, returning with a sealed envelope. I handed it to her quietly, my expression calm, neutral. "What's this?" she asked, a flicker of unease crossing her face. "Just something you need to read," I said. She opened it, skimming the pages. First confusion, then disbelief, then panic. Her hands trembled, and the color drained from her face. Receipts, email screenshots, travel itineraries, financial documents, all pointing to the secret life she had maintained while laughing at my concern, mocking my vigilance. "Marco, this isn't possible," she whispered, her voice breaking. I sat beside her, steady, calm. "You laughed at me at 2:37 a.m., Claudia. You dismissed every instinct, every warning, every small sign that something wasn't right. I waited. I watched. And by morning, you were crying at an empty closet because reality finally caught up with you." Her sobs were raw now, unguarded. Friends tried to intervene, confused by the sudden tension, but I silenced them with a simple gesture. This was private. This was justice. Over the next days, her world unraveled. Her secret investments were flagged by auditors. Her marketing firm investigated conflicts of interest. Friends who had once admired her cunning distanced themselves. Claudia became a ghost in the same city she had once owned, moving from apartment to apartment, always just out of reach. I never gloated. There was no triumph in her suffering, only the quiet satisfaction of equilibrium restored. I had preserved my integrity, my dignity, and my peace. Months later, I sold the apartment and moved to the outskirts of Salzburg, a quieter life among mountains and lakes. I found solace in simple routines. Morning runs along the Salzach, repairing old houses for local families, enjoying the silence. The rain still came, but now it washed streets clean without the weight of deception pressing on me. I occasionally heard whispers of Claudia's downfall, rumors in the professional circles she once dominated. I felt no joy in their cruelty, only a quiet understanding that some lessons cannot be learned without consequence. Sometimes, late at night, I remembered that 2:37 a.m. laughter, and I remembered the tiny tremor in her voice that morning, the first sign that the empire she had built on lies was not invincible. I smiled softly, not with triumph, but with recognition. I had finally learned, in a lifetime of inherited silence, how to protect myself, how to endure, how to wait. And when the closet was empty and the laughter was gone, I realized something crucial. Revenge is not about ruin. It is about revelation. It is about showing someone what they have overlooked, dismissed, or mocked. By morning, she had learned the truth, and I finally had learned my own strength.